to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's February 23rd here in Seoul. I'm Shin-Yoon, and this is News Generation, where we make the news at Arirang's very own open studio. Every morning, we'll discuss the top issues and latest current affairs affecting people in their 20s and 30s. Joining me in the studio is Cheska Dainha.
Good morning, everyone.
And Walter Lee.
Always lovely to be here.
Both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. Now, every day we make a newsfeed for the new generation, and we're looking at the top trending hashtags on social media over the past 24 hours. Here they are. The first hashtag is prison break. Sources in North Korea on Wednesday said dozens of inmates at a North Korean correctional labor camp escaped because they were starving. North Korean authorities reportedly were very concerned about this issue, citing the ongoing food crisis in the country. Ever since Pyongyang shut down its borders to stop COVID-19 from spreading, the reclusive state has suffered from a shortage of food. The second hashtag is cyber attack. If you use the chatting app KakaoTalk, be aware of people who claim to be your friend or say they added you because you were on their recommendation list. If they go one step further and ask you to download a dating app with the file name .apk, this is a red flag. According to the ESCR Cyber Threat Response Center, once users download these malicious apps, hackers could then collect personal info like all the numbers on their phone. The last hashtag is birth rate. South Korea's total fertility rate fell to a record low last year. Statistics Korea on Wednesday found that for every 100 women, 78 babies were born. This gives South Korea the lowest fertility rate of all 38 OECD members. Now, that's mainly due to the frozen job market, high housing costs, and fierce educational environment. Now, let's delve a bit deeper into the second hashtag, cyber attack. Phishing scams have gone up exponentially over the past few years. The Financial Supervisory Service on Tuesday showed that South Koreans lost nearly $1.3 billion from such phishing crimes. Text message phishing accounted for 89% of total scams last year, and cyber-related text message scams have tripled in just 2 years, with most happening through the country's top mobile messenger, KakaoTalk. To address this issue, the Ministry of Science and ICT adopted several programs last December to block phone number spoofing, and lawmakers are also trying to pass stricter regulations to stop this. Now, if we expand our news feed here in the studio, Walter, have you ever been scammed via voice or text phishing, or have your friends been a victim to this?
Well, for starters, whenever I get a call that's unknown, I tend to let it ring out or just hang up and then pretend that I'm in a meeting, so I send a message back. If it's a real person, they'll usually send me something back and I'll give them a call back. If I don't hear anything, then I would assume that it's not important or it could be a voice phishing scammer. However, I haven't been a victim of voice phishing, but recently social media has also been a place for scamming as well.
Right.
As of this week, I got a so-called message or comment from a radio broadcaster in Australia, and they said that I won a prize that I didn't enter in. But what I did, thank you, I guess. But I went into the Facebook page. It did look legit because there were pictures, there were comments. But if you delve a little deeper into their comment section, you notice that all the comments were very similar. The pictures uploaded were a bit strange. So they go into great deals just to try and scam these people these days.
So that would mean they made extra accounts to comment on their own post.
To comment on the scam account. So it's strange.
That takes way too much work. But I've also been a victim. Well, not a victim because I didn't fall for it.
Yes.
But my dad one day called me. He was so out of breath saying, "Where are you?" I was like, "Well, I'm lying down on my bed." And he's like, "Oh, it's a relief," because he thought that I was kidnapped.
Right.
And this voice fisher impersonated my voice, acted like he was crying. But the catch is, he was a man.
Okay.
And he was using a female voice. And my dad still fell for it because he thought I was crying so much because I was kidnapped.
Oh, your voice got hoarse or something.
Exactly.
Oh.
So, yeah, a lot of people fall into these schemes because it feels so realistic. And Cheska, could you give us any tips on how you can differentiate a scam from just a regular accidental phone call from an unknown number?
I mean, just by these two examples, it's very, very clear that scammers are getting smarter day by day. And I think it's very important for us to become smarter about this, because now they're sending these text messages that look like legit federal organization text, or even copy and pasting the format of banks so that it looks like a legit bank text. So here are 3 ways that I would personally recommend for checking if it is a scam or not. First of all, never ever give your personal information over the phone, whatever the cause is. And second, if it's someone you know, for example, if you're his dad or your mum, hang up and call back someone that knows that person to verify, hey, have you talked to Dad or have you talked to Walter?
Or where are you?
Exactly. And lastly, Yeon told me, but please call your cybersecurity hotline in your own countries to verify if the number that has called you is registered as scam. So in Korea, the number is 02-3150-2657.
That's really good advice. So don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed that you've been scammed. It's just that they're so sly and realistic.
They're so smart. Yeah.
But listen to Cheska's triple solution right there.
Triple solution.
That was our news feed for this Thursday. And moving on, every day we discuss different topics that interest or are related to the younger generation. Here's what we have for you today. Have you ever been to a wedding in Korea? There are many ways it's different from Western countries. One main difference is that you congratulate the newlyweds by giving them envelopes full of money. It's called 축의금 in Korean. According to a marriage agency in Korea, the average amount of cash people think is appropriate to give as a gift at the wedding is around $60. The amount of cash differs based on where the wedding is being held, how close you are to the newlyweds, and whether you're taking a +1. But young people who are sure they'll never marry are questioning whether they should have to pay this cash gift. That's because without a wedding, they won't ever receive this wedding money themselves. Today, NewsGen looks at 3 questions. 1. What does the younger generation in general think about this years-long money envelope tradition at weddings? How much is appropriate? 2. Should people who decide not to get married in the first place be exempt from this tradition? 3. Should this type of congratulatory culture change? Do other cultures give wedding gifts? Is there any fun tradition that can be applied to Korean weddings? As we just saw, we're going to talk about a years-long tradition at weddings, giving out money envelopes to the newlyweds. Walter, I know you got married in Korea in 2019, and you must have received 축의금 or cash gifts. Now, is this the case back in Australia too? Have you ever experienced it? And now that you have it, how'd you feel about it?
So it's not something I was used to, especially when I first came to Korea. There is a similar culture for certain weddings that we call a wishing well.
Ooh.
So instead of getting the registry gift, usually people give, appliances, etc. Some couples ask for a money donation, whether to go towards a honeymoon or something else, or something more useful. However, yes, I think in more Western weddings, it's more of a gift. But in some cases, you don't even have to give anything. It's more of a celebration.
Right.
So when I first came to Korea, I did think, oh, wow, I'm going to get all this money from all my friends. But before you think it's free money, if you're not familiar with the culture, it actually goes to the parents, the parents of the bride or groom. And the rest of the money that you do get usually goes or contributes to the wedding fee.
Definitely. And before we move on to Cheska, can you explain what the wishing well culture is like in Australia?
It is I wouldn't say it's a every wedding sort of situation. I would say that what you do is you put some money into an envelope, and some people do nameless, right? So
it's anonymous.
It's anonymous.
I like that.
Yeah. So you could be very stingy and put like as much money in as you want, but it's also it's sort of similar to here, but you don't put your name on it.
And there's no pressure. It's like a good faith money.
Yes,
It is.
exactly.
And Cheska, have you ever experienced this culture, wedding culture in Korea?
I have, but I'm more used to the American style. So I think Walter mentioned it briefly, but in America, it's more of a wedding gift registry. So you provide people with the gift they would prefer. And also, it is a big party. So my friends, what they would do is provide accommodations for people who are far travelers so they can come and stay and rock out for the after party.
I love it.
So it's more of a celebration of the friends and the family, more than a traditional wedding. Of course, not all. But one thing that I did notice in Korea is that it's very important for the parents to reclaim the money they have given out in their past to many, many weddings. So a lot of people feel a little bit pressured to have big weddings, even if they don't want to, but for the parents because of what they've done for the others.
Exactly.
But personally, I would probably do my wedding in more of a donation style or gift registry. sorry, mom and dad and grandma, I love you, but it's my wedding.
And there's actually a growing number of youngsters in Korea who decide not to get married or stay forever single.
Exactly.
And for those people, they find it unfair to be giving out so much cash gifts at their friends' or relatives' wedding where they can't get it in return.
Exactly.
What's behind all this? What are your thoughts on this?
So there's definitely this new culture and an issue that came to surface, especially with our generation, because as you correctly mentioned, a lot of the people are choosing either singlehood or even having very small or private weddings. So I believe it could raise the questions on, well, what about my money?
Right.
So let's take a look at the screen and see what our generations actually think. So despite it being a very long-standing tradition, almost 30% of people did say, I will find a way to get it back. So there's definitely a growing number of people who feel they deserve to have it back.
Right.
Now, if we take a look at the second stats, here are some strategies for how people would actually go about.
The 30% should look at this.
Yes, I know. The 30% should find out the strategies they could use to start this very difficult yet slightly awkward conversation. So more than half of the people would deploy the tactic of, hey, so I need the money for new travels. I'm buying a new furniture or moving. But 30% of people would actually let their friends know of their singlehood and ask for it back, which actually delights me because now even Korea is opening up to this single lifestyle, which I think people have been a little bit afraid to be vocal about. So I love that we're changing into a lifestyle where we can be sort of independent and talk about it with our friends.
Definitely. And a lot of my single friends are even thinking of having a singlehood ceremony or party.
I love that.
Yeah, and they would invite people that would not come to their wedding per se, but they would come to their singlehood ceremony, give out cash gifts and presents, celebrating yourself. Okay, Walter.
Seems a little narcissistic. And like, celebrate me. Like, I have a birthday every year, but like, let's do it one more time.
No, but this is different. It's like congratulating me for being me.
Congratulating me and my singlehood.
Yeah.
Not my style.
All right.
You're not invited to my singlehood party.
Now, another issue is how much is appropriate as cash gifts at weddings. Now, due to inflation, the average amount of cash gifts have increased. Like 50,000 won or $40 seem to be the bare minimum. And that's also because we have that 50,000 won, you know, the bank note. Exactly. And also in Korea, it's traditional that you start off with 30,000, then go to 50,000, and then you double it by 100,000 and so on and so forth. Now, I would like to see how much you guys would be willing to pay, and including myself, based on which situation the wedding is being held at. So I have a little game for us prepared.
Ooh.
Now, if you look on your side, you'll see a little sketchbook, and we're going to see how much we're willing to pay based on different scenarios, okay? Now, the first one is, let's say you're going to the wedding of your best friend of 10 years.
Ooh.
How much would you pay then?
Yes.
And let's say your coworker asked you to come to his or her wedding. How much would you pay then?
So it's my best friend versus Walter, right?
It's your best friend versus...
already married.
I'm a best coworker, that's what I am.
So write down how much you would pay for your best friend versus your coworker. Okay. We're gonna use USD, all right? This is hard.
It is. I'm a little bit stumped.
Okay, I got it. Are you guys ready?
Sort of. Yes.
All right. Okay, in 3, 2, 1, we're gonna show it. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my gosh! Wait. Okay, show me. From Walter, how much would you pay your friend?
Wow.
$200 or more. If Cheska decided to get married, she gets a high five. But for people like Grace, maybe $50 or more.
Wow!
No, I love that little high five. Okay, what about you?
Can I change my answer? Walter, I even gave you 2 double hearts. Come on.
So that's worth a high five.
Yeah, so $50 for a high five.
So for co-workers, $50. But for friends, I would actually give them a gift, a party, and then love? Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't rate the money though?
I didn't, because I thought about it, but if it's for a friend of 10 years, I would probably be the bridesmaid. Are you listening? So I think I would do something more than the money. Like I would probably give them the most expensive gift they probably want.
Right.
Like throw a bachelorette party. So not money, but something way worth. Yeah.
I think for me, I would pay $500 for my friend. It's my best friend.
Yes.
And then that's exempting all like the bridal shower fees. And then for my coworker, I think $100.
Oh.
Because you guys are my coworkers and I love you guys very much.
You're a good coworker.
I know, but the $50 and the high five is getting me thinking.
It's a good high five.
You're not coming to my wedding.
It's a solid high five.
Yeah. Can you be my bridesmaid so I can get the
Don't think you underestimate how good I give high fives. I'm a pretty good high five giver.
Now, we have another tricky situation. It's when you receive the wedding invite through your phone, e-invites. Now, here in Korea, it's traditional that you invite the person for lunch, give them a meal, and then give it to them in person. But if you get it via mobile, you would think you're not that close with that person, or some people don't feel respected. So based on how you get the wedding invitation, how much would you pay?
Ooh.
Now, once again, we're going to write it down in USD. Ready?
This is tricky.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wait, okay. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. Cheska, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Wait a minute. So you guys both had the same answer.
Yes, so I would give them the same amount, but for the person who treated me, I would probably take them out for a meal when I give them my invite. Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And Walter, you said, okay, so 50 is your bare minimum.
I just like the number.
Is that a
50 is a
so or
solid
a
number.
50? So.
It's a so-so. I'll give you a so-so.
So.
A $50 gift. I think, yes, if I receive it by mobile, I mean, there's less meaning to it, but I
Right.
just feel like I'm being cheap if I reduce it that way.
Maybe.
So, yeah, 50-50.
I think I'm more traditional then, because I would only give around like $50 if you give me a mobile invite, because I feel like it takes a lot of effort, and I would it does, and I would love to congratulate you over lunch and say like, oh my gosh, you're getting married, you know? But then, yeah, I agree. I love this idea. It's the same and a meal. And another different situation is, how much would you pay if you go in person versus, sending the 축의금 or cash gift via phone?
And you're not attending the wedding.
You're not attending.
Oh, so it's just money versus when you actually attend.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Like, how much would you pay then?
I would probably, I don't know the amount, but I'd probably pay a little bit less if I'm not attending.
Right.
Because either I'm busy or I might not be as close with the person.
Right.
So that would probably be the only difference.
Right, and these are different scenarios that a lot of people contemplate before attending weddings. And now we're going to be including a global millennial in our talks to hear how newlyweds are congratulated in different countries. We're now going to be speaking with the owner of Yarrow & Co., a business that does a lot of wedding flowers. It's Hannah Markwood. She's also been a maid of honor 4 times. She's an expert bridesmaid that has thrown many bridal showers and parties. Great to have you with us, Hannah.
Hi, great to be here.
Now, Hannah, you heard our discussion just now. What do you think about the money envelope tradition at Korean weddings? How's it different from the United States?
Yeah, I think you guys brought up some really interesting points. I do think there are some similarities. It's not uncommon for grandparents or, members of our community that maybe are a little older to give cash gifts at weddings to the couple, or checks, like physical cash, kind of what you guys were saying, in an envelope at the actual wedding. Although it does sound maybe like it's more accepted or maybe even more expected in Korea, like for all ages. There are many traditions that involve money, though, when it comes to weddings in the US. So, like, there's one off the top of my head that not everyone does by all means, but at more traditional weddings, when it comes time for the reception, after the ceremony, when everyone's starting to dance and it's kind of the party's getting started, there's something people do called the money dance, and it's kind of a silly tradition where people will get up and have cash and they give it to the bride or the groom, and it's kind of like paying them for a dance. And it's a silly thing just to start like giving them, basically starting their marriage off with extra cash and, you know, money for, especially if they're like a younger couple. So there are a lot of little traditions like that, but I don't think it's really something that, you know, you see everyone doing it anymore. And I heard you guys talking about the registry thing. I think that's just a lot more common. So a lot of things are going to be digital. A lot of people have wedding websites now where all you have to do is kind of link what you want, like your wish list, and people buy, you know, exactly what you want in your style, in the color that you want it, and it arrives to your front door. And another option with those websites is you can do cash funds. And so basically you're asking specifically, you know, I want to go on a honeymoon. It's going to cost this much. Please contribute. So it's kind of like a classy way to ask for cash from your friends and family.
And Cheska,
so
I know that you have another
the
question for Hannah too, right?
Yes, I do. Hannah, so here, a lot of people are choosing, singlehood and small private weddings. What do you think in Korea people are getting the short end of a stick by following the cash gift tradition here in Korea? What do you think?
Yeah, I think some people probably do feel taken advantage of or shorted if they're not going to choose to get married. But another factor to consider, especially for U.S. weddings, is it's so expensive to throw a wedding and to throw that party and have all the guests come. I think it's a little bit more of a burden per se for the people, you know, footing the bill for the wedding. Traditionally, it's the bride's father or her family that, you know, pays for everything, which is pretty crazy. In the US, the average wedding costs about $20,000 US. So a lot of times it's less, but a lot of times it's more than that too. So at that point, you're spending $300 or $400 per person that you invite. So that's pretty crazy. So when you put it in the grand scheme of things, paying for a little gift or a little bit of cash compared to $400 for your evening when you're getting excited to dress up and go to a fun event is kind of, you know, I feel like it's pretty reasonable.
And Hannah, then very briefly, what do you think is the best way to commemorate your friends or family at weddings?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to do it without even spending money. I think, you know, making sure that you're celebrating and checking in with your friends before the wedding is super important. I think we put in a lot of thought and care about that day, but then it just goes by so fast. So making sure you're there, being a friend for the whole duration of their marriage, I think is super important. Showing up and celebrating in the small ways. And, you know, I think there's plenty of ways that you can be supportive and show your love and happiness for the couple without spending money.
All right, being their emotional support. Thank you so much, Hannah. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Now, given that we are a live morning program, we always ask our viewers questions related to our discussion topic in advance. We use this time to share with you what they had to say. So we asked our viewers if they made a decision to stay single for life, should they still give cash gifts or throw parties for their friends for getting married with nothing in return. Priyanka Chakraborty said, I think it's a matter of friendship and its value and not necessarily about whether one is married or not. Hussein Demir said, I'm in this situation and what I give to my marrying friends is not affected. I feel happier whenever my friends are happy, and that's what matters. Park Soo-gi said, actually, I told a friend of mine, if you're still single by 40, I'll give you cash gifts in return. You are worthy of being celebrated as an independent individual. I think that's a really good way to end this off.
I love that comment, yes.
Exactly. And every day we do upload questions for our discussion topic for our viewers to answer. If you want to participate, please search ArirangNews on YouTube. Look into our community tab. The link is right below. Now we're heading into the final part of our discussion. Walter, very briefly, any last words for the different cultures here in Korea?
I would like to see Korea move towards more maybe of a Western sort of style wedding where you just invite friends and family rather than everybody that's around the town.
Yes.
However, I understand it's deep in the culture, so it might take a long time.
Right. And that's what we talked about today, the gifting culture here in Korea at weddings. And we'll be here every day from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you the topics that young people are talking about. Special thanks to Cheska Dainham.
Pleasure's always mine. Thank you.
And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
And we'll see you tomorrow. We are
News Generation.